So in Denver, I went to a session, and the presenter was named Peter Griffin. No, he is not the Family Guy character. We made that clear.
Sadly.
And so the title is called "Oh Caption, My Caption." I'm not going to play the video. Okay, so basically these are like some examples of like craptions or bad captions, basically. They're kind of hard to read.
You can zoom in with a Command Plus.
Yeah, full screen, full screen.
I mean, either way, like you still, I don't think you'd be able to see it.
Full screen.
Yeah, why don't you full screen it?
How about full screen like this?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Maybe you can read it to us.
Yeah. Okay. So there's one right here, or on the bottom. It says, "Is this the real legend of Sleepy Hollow?" And then the one at the top says, "Raise your hand if you have to go." And then the one on the left or right is the Funky Chicken, and then this one right here is called the. It just says Lunch Ladies.
Okay. You press in and...
Okay, so
We're not going to answer that. I'm sorry. Keep going.
so captions obviously begin with a photo. So when you have your photo.
Sorry about that.
So I don't know how to use Dropbox, so it's like
How about the N? Does the N work for next?
no.
No.
I could just do it this way.
Okay.
Okay. So there's different types of like photos you could take. One of them is reaction, so it shows a strong emotional response. So the picture is basically a football team. And then there's illustration, which illuminates story concept with a created photo. Scrapbook or portrait is informal portraits which show personality. Angle, and that can either be high, low, left, or right.
Unusual angle.
Framing, which is using foreground or background as a framing device. Leading lines are real or imaginary lines that lead to the center of visual interest. Photo gallery, so you have to be ready to shoot for the peak of the moment. So this one's a graduation, this one's a basketball game, that's a swimming, and then cheerleading. Always consider before, during, and after of an activity. So that would be the before, during, and after. Look for unique lighting opportunities. I personally like this one because you get like the darkness and then there's the light on just the net. Show human relationships in as many photos as possible. So the principal, I'm going to assume, high-fiving the senior as she graduates, and then the basketball game. And then shoot to illuminate personality. Okay, so when you're making a caption, you want to choose a substantial diversity of sources. So you want to get those that are directly involved in the activity, and then those that are affected by the activity. And incorporate all three reporting approaches, so background details, which would be facts, polls and surveys for figures, and then one-on-one interviews for feelings. You want to formulate meaningful, objective questions, so that's going to answer the who, what, when, where, why. And you want to craft storytelling subjective questions, so you want to focus your sources on telling how and why experiences. So you could start with describe for me or tell me about. And then don't forget the logical follow-up questions. So you want to get additional information. So saying, tell me more, or could you elaborate on this would be a good question. They gave us a handout about like story starters and stuff. So a lead-in. So it makes verbal and visual connection with the photo. The first sentence of a caption should answer the most important 5 W's and H, highlighting the most interesting information within the first 5 to 7 words, and it's written in present tense. And then the sentences that follow after that would add information that is not obvious from the photo itself, or a quote to add insight, and that's written in past tense. So caption lead-in makes a verbal to visual connection. So these are some examples for like this photo. So airborne, cap fetty, it's all over, airheads, hats off, tip your hats, and cap and done. And then, so the caption first sentence relates the most important 5 W's and H. So hats off would say, in the final seconds of graduation ceremonies, the front row of the 224-member senior class start the wave of caps thrown into the air, signaling the end of their high school careers. And then this is for complementary sentences, so it's going to add more information that's not obvious from the photo. So in the final seconds of graduation ceremonies, the front row of the 224-member senior class start the wave of caps thrown into the air, signaling the end of their high school careers. The accepted tradition started when the class of 2009 rebelled against not being able to decorate their caps. As valedictorian, I got to start the wave. Overwhelming emotion almost caused me to forget to throw my cap. And that's a quote from a student, Janie Billingsley. So by adding more sentences, you get more detail that people would otherwise not see in the photo. Like the first sentence will just be like, okay, yeah, like they're throwing their caps in the air, like we see that. But then the other sentences would add more. So when you're writing, so there's different captions. So there's an ident, which is identification or a very brief description of what's going on. Summary, which answers the most important 5 W's and an H. Expanded, which answers all of the 5 W's and H in 2 or more sentences. And a quote, which is an insightful first-person account of action or reaction. So this is an example of an ident. So it says, hands off, Lisette Montague, 20, key steal during state. And then this is a summary. Hands off. In a key play during the state championship semifinals, junior Lisette Montague, 20, steals the ball from Kensington High player Amanda Waite, 38. This is expanded. In a key play during the state championship semifinals, junior Lisette Montague, 20, steals the ball from Kensington High player Amanda Waite, 38. The team took advantage, scoring 2 and expanding its lead to 8 points, winning the game 62-51. And then this is a quote. It was one of those wow moments when they were on the move and gaining points upon us. Coach attributes my steal against my best friend, Amanda Waite, as the turning point of the game. Lisette Montague, who scored the final points in the 62-51 semifinal state championship win. So, when you have group pictures, when you want to make a caption for that, you can either put the name of the group, larger, bolder, or contrasting type style, or by all members, by rows that are set in contrasting type style, so front or bottom, row 2, 3, back or top, by both first and last names. So this is an example of a group caption. So they have the French Club, and I'm not going to read all those names, but...
It's always left to right.
Yeah. So when you're editing and rewriting, you want to avoid boring nouns like students, members, plays, players, weak verbs in passive voice, so is, are, was, were, be, being, or been. Long paragraphs that are more than 2 sentences. Word overuse, a and the this year's school name, initials, and mascot. So don't keep saying Bearcats or San Mateo High because, one, this is for our school newspaper. They know what school we go to. And just don't keep using that. And then use of first and second pronouns, so avoid I, you, or we. And then labels and names as story or caption starters. So you don't want to have, like, I don't know, a name of a person as a caption starter. So tips, use a recording device to do your interviews. Write your story and captions soon after you're finished with the interview, and be patient for the right opportunity to get the interview and get their contact information. So if you have more questions, you can follow up with them. Or like you want more clarification on something that they said. So they have the Associated Press AP Style book. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a quick review, and everyone but Maisha can do this because I know Maisha knows this stuff. So, what numbers do you spell out? Yeah. Do you ever capitalize freshman, sophomore?
Say the answer. I heard it back
Yeah,
up,
no,
but, but you say it so he could get it on.
Yeah, so you write 1 through 10 out.
1 through 9.
1 through 9. And then do you ever capitalize freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior?
No.
Yes, you do not capitalize grades.
That's correct. You do not capitalize.
Should commas go inside of quotation marks?
Please, God.
Yes! Yes!
Yes.
When should you use a person's first and last name?
First reference.
Yeah, so the first time you're quoting someone, you're going to use the first name, and then
First and last.
yeah, first and last name, and then from that point on, you just use their last name. Okay, so more editing and rewriting. So do keep captions factual, no opinions. Include honest facts, figures, and feelings. Go beyond the obvious. Capture the outcome or consequences of the action. Write first sentence in present tense and the following sentences in past tense. Use visual nouns and action verbs. Avoid repetition of words. Avoid beginning with names. Avoid school name, initials, and the mascot, and then maintain style consistency. Okay, and then we just did an example with people sitting next to us, and we had to write a caption for that. And that's it.
Okay, very nice. Let's give her a hand. Good job. So let's save that PowerPoint and we'll put it on the Mattio Media website where there are some other resources.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Nicely done.